Constitutional history. In ancient times, traditions and customs were given priority over written constitutions. While the principles of sacred scriptures played a key role in later times, the Roman laws, the Code of Hammurabi, and the codification of laws by Emperor Constantine are milestones in the history of constitutions. The Greeks were the pioneers of constitutionalism in ancient times. Constitutions can be mainly classified into 5 types based on their origin. 1. Evolutionary constitution. The British Constitution, which emerged as a result of many developments in Britain over time rather than at a specific time, is called an evolutionary constitution described. 2. Revolutionary constitution. Constitutions formed in the aftermath of world historical revolutions in America, Russia, and France are described as revolutionary constitutions. 3. Ratified Constitution. The Constitution of India, which was framed and approved by the Constituent Assembly formed in 1946, can be referred to as the ratified constitution. 4. Gifted Constitution. These constitutions can be termed as gifted constitutions because the previous rulers bestowed constitutions along with independence to the respective countries. A. Denmark, New Zealand. 5. Consolidated Constitution. The European Constitution, which was established by several states of the European continent after the formation of the European Union, can be termed as a consolidated constitution. 2. Constitution requirement. Every democratic country necessarily formulates and implements a constitution to establish the rules and regulations necessary for the orderly administration of a state and to maintain the entire administration in a standard and orderly manner. Requirement. Imposes limits on the excessive power of the government. The law provides equality. It grants fundamental rights to the people. Coordination of the distribution of powers between the central and state governments in a federal system. The welfare of the people constitutes the goals of a good state. Provides equitable governance. Constitutional rules have permanence and clarity and specificity. The independence of the judiciary is the protection of people's freedom. Specifies the duties that the government must fulfill. Constitutions can be classified into 5 types based on their structure and the way they are amended. 1. Unwritten constitution, a constitution in which the administration is carried out based on customary practices, common laws, etc., without a fully written constitution. X. Britain, Israel. 2. Written constitution, constitutions that have the structure of government, the aspects related to the way it functions, and the procedure for amending it in writing. For example, America, India, France. 3. Rigid constitution, a constitution that is difficult to amend in a special way by a special majority, unlike ordinary laws. X. America. 4. Loose constitution, a constitution that is easy to amend in a simple manner by a simple majority of the parliament, like ordinary laws. X. Britain. 5. Combination of hard and soft features, some aspects of the constitution can be amended by parliament like ordinary laws, while other aspects need to be amended by parliament in a special manner. A. India. Constitutional history of India. The history of the Indian constitution is closely linked to British rule. The laws, institutions, systems and administrative elements introduced by the British government for the administration of India laid the foundation for the laws and administrative methods of our constitution in later times. By the time of independence, research and a broad-minded approach were carried out by a group of expert and committed public representatives to improve the administrative system in force. The Constitution of India was drafted as a result of discussions. B.C. Rawat divided the history of the Indian Constitution into 6 phases. First phase, 1600-1773. Second phase, 1773-1858. Third phase, 1858-1909. Fourth phase, 1909-1935. Fifth phase, 1935-1947. Sixth phase, 1947-1950. First phase, 1600-1773. The British East India Company was established in 1600 to conduct business in India. The East India Company was established by a Charter Act with the approval of Queen Elizabeth. Charter means agreement. By 1612, the first full-fledged trading centre was established in Surat. By 1639, they had established trading posts in Madras and Machilipatnam and had begun the construction of Fort St. George in Madras. By 1667, the British had acquired the authority to mint coins in our country. In 1687, the first municipal body was established for local administration in Madras. In 1726, presidencies were established in Bombay, Madras and Calcutta, along with the establishment of mayors' courts. Municipal administrative bodies were established in these three places. Municipalities were established in Madras in 1687 and in Bombay and Calcutta in 1726. The British intervened in India's internal affairs through the Battle of Plassey in 1757. Laid the foundations of the British Empire in India. Battle of Plassey. The man who was considered the builder of the British Empire in India and the winner of the Battle of Plassey, Robert Clive. Following the Battle of Buxar, 1764, in 1765 the British acquired Diwani, tax collection, rights in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. The British legally gained power in our country through civil rights. In 1772, Warren Hastings introduced the collector system in our country for the first time. Second phase, 1773-1858. Charter Acts. A charter is defined as an agreement. Since the East India Company was formed following a treaty with the British Queen with certain conditions, the laws made by the East India Company in our country regarding the management of trade and commerce and the regulation of administration are called Charter Acts. Regulating Act 1773. An act introduced to regulate the administrative affairs of the East India Company in India. This act was introduced based on the report of the Parliamentary Privy Committee headed by Lord Gurgaon. The Governor of Bengal was changed to Governor General of Bengal. The then British Prime Minister, Lord North, drafted the law. Bombay and Madras presidencies were also brought under the jurisdiction of the Governor General of Bengal. The first Governor General was made, Warren Hastings. A 4-member council was formed to advise the Governor General. The Supreme Court was established in 1774 in Fort William, Calcutta, following this act. The first Chief Justice, Sir Elijah Impey, was appointed along with 3 other judges. The judgments given by the Supreme Court are not final, meaning that the judgments given by this court can be appealed to the Privy Council in London. This act established a centralized system of governance in India. It can be said that this act failed to bring about the changes that the British had hoped for in India. The British government indirectly asserted its dominance over our country through the East India Company. The Act of 1773 is called the first Indian Constitutional Act. Laws made during the British rule, or laws after 1858 are called Acts of Council, laws made during the East India Company rule, and laws made before 1858 are called Charter Acts. Acts of Council, British Government. Charter Acts, East India Company. Expansion Act 1781. The British government first mentioned the issue of British dominions in our country through this act. The British officially declared these territories in our country as their own and enacted a law in that country's parliament. Cit India Act 1784. This law was introduced to correct the shortcomings in the regulatory law. This law was named after the then British Prime Minister, William Pitt Jr. This act established 2 systems for the management of the affairs of the East India Company. They are 1. Board of Control. A 6-member Board of Control oversees the general administrative affairs of the East India Company in India. 2. The Court of Directors exercises control over the business affairs of the company in India. Through this law, the system of dual rule was introduced in our country. Charter Act 1793. The company's commercial and administrative rights are said to be renewed every 20 years. The Governor General was given veto power over council resolutions. Municipalities were given legal status. Charter Act 1813. This law extended the company's rights for another 20 years. Introduced free trade, abolishing the company's monopoly in India. Trade with China, except tea trade. The government has allocated 1 lakh rupees for the spread of utilitarian education in India. Christian missionaries were allowed to carry out their religious propaganda. Indians were given opportunities in government jobs. Private individuals were also given the right to purchase land. The power and opportunity to impose taxes have been added to local self-government bodies. Charter Act 1833. This act, known as the St. Helena Act, allowed Indians to hold lower-level positions in the company. The Governor-Generals of Bengal were renamed Governor-Generals of India. First Governor-General of India William Bentinck. The first, Law Commission, was set up. The first Law Commission chairman was Lord Macaulay. A council was formed to advise the Governor-General on legislative matters, of which Macaulay was a member. For the first time in India, the slavery system was abolished. But its implementation was stalled due to the opposition of Lord Ellenborough. Indians were allowed to take the civil service exams. But its implementation was stalled due to opposition from the Board of Directors. The company's rights in India were extended for another 20 years. Charter Act 1853. The last charter law introduced during the rule of the East India Company. This law does not address the issue of extending the rights of the company. Governor-Generals were given broad powers. The Legislative Council and the Executive Council were separated. He laid the foundations of the parliamentary system of government in our country by assuming responsibility for the Executive Council and the Legislative Council. Indians were allowed to appear in civil service examinations without any caste discrimination. The Lord Macaulay Committee was formed on the structure of the civil services. A Legislative Council was established for the first time at the centre.